Well, hi everybody, it's Jeff Wettlaufer coming to you from the System Center team once again. Today we're speaking with our friends and the partner of 1E, and I have with me a friend and colleague, Dave Lippa, a solutions engineer from 1E. Dave's joined us today from Texas. Dave, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, great to have you here. So I think in this video we'd like to talk about the relationship we have with 1E and a little background about your product lineup, and I'd like to also talk about how we can do some extensions with the 1E technologies on top of the System Center product platform. So Dave, I'd like to maybe talk about a little bit of the product lineup. You know, there's a lot of things we know about 1E doing a great job at. Can you give us a quick overview of the products, and then we'll talk about some of the extensions they make to System Center?
Sure. So to begin with, we have what we're talking about today, which is our power management with 1E Wake Up tool. Then we also have our 1E Nomad, which is our branch office software distribution tool. And then lastly, we have our self-service, which is our shopping tool, which is basically, it's a great way for users to be able to shop for software with a workflow on the back end, so approvals, and beyond that it goes into network access as well as for shopping for office equipment or anything else. Basically a workflow utility for organizations. Okay, well that's great, Dave. I'd like to maybe talk a little bit about, for the focus of this conversation, how the 1E technologies extend the core features of Configuration Manager. Yeah, we know we've got this power management feature set, which is a core set of power management capabilities in Config Manager 07R3. How does 1E extend that, and where do you take that feature set from there? Sure. So there's three main areas really that I think that really accomplish that. The first is with administrative flexibility. Okay. Administrators in shops today need something that's not going to extend their overhead, that's going to be laborious. They want something that has a set it and forget it mentality. So we feel that with Nighwatchman, the flexibility that we provide to them accomplishes that. Secondly, end user empowerment, right? Yeah. Anytime there's a project that an enterprise is implementing, one of the key criteria is that it works well with their end user base. That's going to dictate success. Lastly is reporting functionality. With Nighwatchman, the reports are accurate and the reporting functionality is very scalable for enterprise organizations.
Okay. Well, why don't we take a minute and dive into each of these with just a little bit more detail, if that's okay with you?
Yeah.
I think with respect to the first one around, you talked about administrative flexibility. Mm-hmm. You know, we've heard a lot of feedback from customers that this is an area that's a bit sensitive with customers. They don't want to impact the user too much, and the administrators don't want to go through all these big cycles. So how does your technology actually improve the flexibility for the administrator?
Sure. So with the administrative flexibility, one of the big things is basically getting all of your PCs or maximizing the PCs in scope for being able to be power managed, right? You want to maximize your savings, so you need that availability there. So to begin with, our 1E Wake Up, and along with the computer health, really helps to accomplish that. 1E Wake Up is making the PCs available out of band. With computer health, we're ensuring that critical components on that computer, such as WMI, bits, critical services on the workstation are in a healthy state so that they can be patched, they can be power managed, that sort of thing. Okay. Next is the scripts. As a former administrator myself, I know that any product that I looked at, I wanted something that was scriptable, that I could customize and meet my needs. Nothing is a one-size-fits-all solution. You need something that can be retrofitted or fitted into an organization. So with the scripting ability, we allow for administrators to consider a pre-execution and post-execution of power management, right? Pre-checks, post-checks, and that sort of thing. So the administrator can ensure that PC is ready to be power managed. That's huge. Next is application scripts. So when you're powering down a machine, putting it into low power state, one of the considerations is user data. If I've got to restart a machine following a patch distribution or something like that, I need to make sure that I'm not going to lose that user's data. So with the application scripts, we make available to the administrators virtually manage any application in the organization so they can close that down gracefully and they can save the user data, make it available to them again next time they come back in. And then we also have process exceptions. Critical processes on the desktop. If there's a process that you don't want to interrupt on the desktop, the administrator can simply add it to a definition list within the administrative console.
Like exceptions?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly. So the next time that exception or that process is running, Nighwatchman will abort it, then of course it's going to log it locally and then report it up to a central point for that administrator to be able to look at. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good stuff.
So, and finally, the other feature that's very important for administrators to consider is a scenario where operating systems don't want to go into a low power state, right? Critical rogue devices such as a touchpad device driver maybe, or a rogue application where the application wasn't necessarily written with power management in mind. What this does is it basically fools the operating system into thinking a user is still active and the machine never goes into that low power state, right? still consuming power. So with Nighwatchman, we have a feature, sleepless client detection, which can actually detect those devices and applications that are preventing that machine from going into the low power state, report it up to the administrators, and they can just simply set it as an override. So the next time that happens, we're going to override that process and force the machine going in. So in a sense, what we're doing is we're maximizing the potential savings in an organization.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you mentioned a couple of times there, Dave, this focus on the user, and that's some feedback we really had clearly was, we got to think about the user in this process. So your second comment you mentioned was around, you called it user empowerment, I believe.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how 1E handles the user in these scenarios as well?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big area for us, and in the 10 plus years that Nighwatchman has been around, we've got a lot of customer feedback, a lot of experience of our own people in the field, in issues in there that have helped to really drive some of these user empowerment features. So one big consideration for organizations is if you're going to power a machine down, what happens if the user needs to get to their machine in the middle of the night, right? It's a big issue. So one of the ways that we mitigate that, or that we provide for that really, is with our web wake up tool, which is included within 1E Wake Up. It's all part of the solution. And basically what it is a web page. The user can navigate into the page, VPN into the organization, navigate to the web page. Their PC is registered for them on the page, so it's simply just clicking a button and choosing Wake Up. Okay. From there, they get a status message saying, hey, the machine's awake, and we can launch a remote desktop session right into the desktop. So it's great for them to be able to help themselves. Next is for users that have critical processes running on their machines that don't necessarily want to interrupt. Maybe it's a test team, development, what have you. We have a feature called Keep Active. So the user is actually able to kick off whatever process they have, and then using our Keep Active feature, they can defer any scheduled activity on that machine up to 24 hours. It's incrementally. So if it's a 5-hour process, maybe they'll just set 5 hours, Nighwatchman, please leave me alone. Okay. And of course, all of that's logged locally again and then reported essentially for administrators, going back to that sort of administrator flexibility. Another piece of that.
You guys need to know that, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then the last part of that is the document save feature, right? Okay. I talked about it a little bit with administrative flexibility. Really what this is basically giving the end user the sort of the safety and comfort that if they forget that they have an application open that they've been working on all night long, and they don't want to lose that
we
thing,
all do it.
right?
Yeah.
So what you want is something that's going to go in and be able to save off that data to a secure location and be available again when that user logged back in. Okay. So the document save really provides that opportunity for the end user, and we can virtually manage any application that's out there. That feature can take advantage of.
Great. It's classic. Okay, so we've talked about administrative flexibility. We've talked about empowering end users through this process of applying power policy. Yeah. You've mentioned a couple of times through those this concept of reporting. I know that's a really strong feature for you guys. So, what can you tell us about the 1E reporting side?
Right. So that's a big thing that I hear time and time again from customers. When I go in there, they want something that they can basically prove what their efforts are. I mean, they go out, they put together free utilities to be able to make some attempt at power managing, but in the end, they have no way to show to their management what they've been doing. Yeah. So with the Nighwatchman reporting, basically what we're giving them is, number one, we're giving them accuracy. We report down to the make and the model of the PCs. So companies have exactly. Okay. So we're basically organizations have multiple different model types in their organization, and these in a desktop scenario, this can range from anywhere from 40 watts to 120 watts, burning heavy power. And what we're doing is we're accounting for that in the reporting. We're not looking at the desktop as a single consumption value. We're looking at what those models are and giving them accurate reports. This is critical for organizations for budgetary concerns, for these organizations that need to go back to their local energy companies for rebates to their PCs to show, hey, we've been doing this savings, and get a rebate. They need an accurate reporting solution to be able to do that. And lastly on that is the reporting mechanism is very scalable. Our server scales into the hundreds of thousands of PCs. We have multiple customers now running 200,000 seats and above on a single server solution. So reduce the overhead of the infrastructure costs and really shortens that ROI time for those customers.
And those are all built on System Center stuff scenarios?
Exactly, all built on top of that, providing that full benefit.
Fantastic. Well, so we talked about some of the features of the wake-up technologies. We've talked about administrative flexibility and empowering end users, and then some of that reporting data that's so crucial in this process. Anything you want to finish with? We'll put some links up here at the end for our viewers, but have you got any recent announcements or news or anything like that you want to share? So one of the things I did want to also address is our Nighwatchman Server Edition product. We've just released the 2.0 version of that within the last couple of weeks.
great product. So now we've introduced power management in the data center. We've been talking about the desktop. Well, the data center is also something that is a concern as well. So huge cost savings there for organizations. We have that product release as well, some white papers to go along with that.
Okay.
We also have just put up a study that we did, a case study with HSBC to show their savings in their organization, which is up on the website now. It's very, very interesting read.
And so that's a white paper they can download up there,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like a doc they can read up on the savings HSBC.
Yeah, among quite a few other white papers are up there. Yeah, absolutely. Go in there for you to download those.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, great, Dave. Thank you. This was very informative. I appreciate your time. We'll put a few links up here at the end for our viewers to go learn more about 1E and System Center together. And thanks for your time, everybody. I appreciate you joining us.